with Evil Dead 2, it was like a comedy slash horror.
Okay, yes. Well, Evil Dead was an initial attempt at an actual horror movie.
Right.
And it did poorly.
Yeah.
to be nice about it. It was really bad acting. Everybody was there taking it very seriously, trying to make an actual horror movie.
Yeah.
Then it kind of became like a joke, and they were like, well, if we had just done it as a comedy, probably would have done better.
Yeah.
So a few years later,
They decided to do that.
Bruce Campbell and everybody and the producers and whatnot decided to do just that, and they remade the first movie as a comedy.
Yeah.
So instead of having the, any kind of like real suspense or anything like that, everything was kind of in light of itself.
Yeah.
And then it ended with the same ending in the first one, where all of his friends die. He ends up having to behead his girlfriend, and it goes on to end with him being sucked into a vortex.
Right. Now, wasn't that vortex created by the book, the Necronomicon, right?
The book or the evil that the book brought out, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So he was kind of sucked into a vortex that came out of that book, and now that led to the movie Army of Darkness.
Yes.
Where he's in that realm and he helps the people defeat the evil in that realm.
Yes.
And then that movie ends with him coming back out of the vortex with a chainsaw attached to his stump where his hand used to be. Right? And then the last scene is him.
That one at the S-Mart.
Yeah, he's back at the store.
At S-Mart, yeah, Shop Smart.
Yeah. So this first episode of Ash vs. Evil Dead picks up 30 years later. He's still working at the same job.
Well, see, and this is something that I caught initially too. It opens with him getting ready and kind of squeezing into a girl and whatnot.
Yeah. So he's trying to make his best for when he goes to it.
He goes to the bar so that he can nail the blonde. He works at Value Mart now, which was not as smart.
Yeah, but it's still like a dead end job.
So yeah, it's just a legal Walmart thing.
Yeah, I like the fact that after 30 years they're showing him up. They're showing him to be the kind of guy where he never does anything right. He's just like the total screw up.
Well, he's a goofball. Yeah.
What was that?
He's a goofball.
Yeah, and so because even when he's at the bar, he throws that dart at the dartboard and doesn't even hit the dartboard.
No.
He's such a goofball that he can't even throw a dart at a dartboard.
But he's still, even though this is years later and this is taking place, God knows how long exactly. I don't think they've mentioned it yet.
Well, he said 30 years ago when he was recanting the story.
Okay, so it's been 30 years, and you can kind of still see that because of everything that he went through, he still kind of got that ego.
Yeah. So he thinks he's all that, but he's not.
Yes.
And he's really a screw up. But the thing is, I like the fact that he's a screw up at everything. But all of a sudden, when it comes to fighting evil, he's a perfect shot. He can throw an axe across the length of a trailer and hit his target.
Yep.
He couldn't even hit a dartboard with a dart, but when it comes to fighting evil, he's got this mojo about him.
El Jefe.
El Jefe, yeah, that's what his sidekick calls him.
Which is the boss in Spanish.
Yeah, the chief. El Jefe is like the chief of the boss.
Yeah.
So so I like the fact that the Earth's only hope against this evil is this total screw up.
Yeah.
Who can't even get the girl, I mean, he had to make up a lie just so that he can bang that girl in the very beginning. About how he lost his hand saving
the child from a train.
He's doing that just so he can, get into a girl's pants. Because he can't do it on his own, pretty much. He's got to come up with some story. But when it comes to fighting evil, man, he's it. He's the guy. He's the dude,
Yes. And what was it? In the Army of the Dead or Army of Darkness.
Yeah.
I was trying to find the 3 words that he was told to remember. Kalatu Barada Niktu.
Yes, yeah, that's right.
I was kind of hoping that in the flashback they did a little bit of the Army of Darkness stuff because I wanted to be sure if this was taking place after Evil Dead or after Army of Darkness. Because
it's definitely. But I think maybe in later episodes we might see flashbacks to Army of Darkness. But the story that he was recounting was from this world's point of view. He hasn't recounted anything about being in that other world. So everything that he's said so far has to do with what happened to him in this world.
Yes.
And now it's happening again.
Yes.
So maybe later on you'll hear him make references to, that other realm and what he did there.
Yeah, the famous Kalatu Barada necktie. Necturne, nickel. It's an N-word. Definitely an N-word. Kalatu, Barada. Yeah, that's it.
Because I can see, I can see some of the evil from that realm that he may remember from Army of Darkness coming back to take their revenge against him.
Well, now, if you watch the special, I think it was the special edition or like director's cut or whatever, the DVD version, it's pretty much on all of them. You got the alternative endings, where basically he wasn't in an alternate dimension, he had gone back in time.
Oh, okay.
Or something along those lines.
But wherever he went, that the evil in that era or that dimension is now coming through to this world again.
Well, it was coming through originally because of the Book of the Dead, which
right. And when he got drunk that one night with that girl,
he decided to be an asshole and be like, "Oh, you want to see something cool?"
Right. And they started reading. They started speaking aloud the words.
Yes, and that was the girl who died from the cop.
Yes, the girl in the house where the cop got it. The girl's partner got it.
Yeah. And
she ended up having to blow both their heads off.
Yes.
Yeah. I like that when she was turning around, facing the other way, and they're like, "Ma'am, are you all right?" And all of a sudden, she just grabs her head and turns it around.
Yeah.
Twist it around.
I'm glad that they're going with practical effects instead of CGI.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the CGI doesn't. I think you and I have had this discussion before where it doesn't look like it has weight to it.
Right, yeah, it's still not to the point. It's still not 100% absolute realistic looking. You can still tell,
Yeah.
That it's CGI. Like even in the movie Man of Steel, when you saw him flying, you could tell that there was CGI involved.
Yes. Yeah.
But so the technology really still has a little way to go yet. But yeah, the fact that they're using practical, to make it look as real as possible.
Yeah, I also like the fact that they still had him working in housewares. I think that was good. It was when what do they call it? Deadites, I think. The girl gets possessed and she goes, "Who the hell are you?" And he goes, "Name's Ash." And then he, does his little rifle thing and he goes, "Housewares." I wasn't too impressed. They did use CGI for the doll that attacked. Didn't really like that scene all too much. I like the fact that the Deadites are still Deadites. They're actual people in the prosthetics.
Yeah.
And when she turned her head around, like you could tell that it wasn't computer generated. It was like, oh, that is nice.
Yeah.
It had a very nice Exorcist feel to it.
Yeah. And did you see the little clip at the end of the episode where the director's talking about how he made this episode?
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah, it was a behind-the-scene thing where the guy talks about how he wanted to make it prosthetic, and he shows you how they got the actress, the actress that turns her head around, her real head is like she's like ducked down, and the prosthetic is on the back of her neck.
Yeah, that would make sense.
So all she does is she reaches behind herself.
Well, I would imagine that. Yeah, I would imagine they would have had to have somebody that was double jointed, because the way that it looked was like she was able to get her arms behind her.
Yes, she was. Yeah, she had to be double jointed to be able to do that. But they actually used a real prosthetic. They didn't do the CGI or any of that shit like that.
Good.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's really and he's talking about how they're making up the people, with real prosthetics, and how. And then they show you a shot of one of the headless bodies, the severed neck of one of the headless bodies.
Okay.
And they show it to you in such a way that you can see the little wire.
The fish line.
The fish line.
Yeah.
And you see it going up and down, and you see the little neck moving, and you hear this voice saying, "Hi, I'm one of the actors in the show, and I just got my head chopped off." But they're showing you that they're actually using old-fashioned special effects techniques. Which are probably cheaper than CGI anyway.
I don't know anymore. The CGI it's time demanding. So I would imagine that if you're paying somebody hourly or whatever, it probably gets pretty pricey.
Yeah. Now I hope that if the show takes off and gets popular, and they start making money off of the advertising and all the other stuff and they get a bigger budget, I hope they don't decide to go the CGI unless it's really necessary in order to make a particular effect that will be almost impossible to do.
As long as they do it and there's a laugh to be had. Like, I didn't like the doll scene.
Yeah.
But I found it funny nonetheless. Yeah. So like it wasn't. I don't think that was a misuse of CGI. I figured it was probably just something that they was like, oh well, we could do this.
Yeah. What I was hoping that would happen during that scene, if you know, she's holding onto his nose.
Yes.
And biting at his face. Well, he takes those flower pots
and smashes himself in the face with them.
I wanted that third one, because usually it happens in 3. I wanted the third one to be where she sees it coming, lets go, and falls, and he smashes himself in the face. That would have been hilarious. That would have been funny. That's what I was waiting to happen.
That's some like Three Stooges humor there.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying, but I was waiting for that to happen.
Yeah.
And I'm like, he's going to hit one of them. She's going to duck out of the way. He's going to hit himself in the face.
See, I wouldn't.
I felt a little disappointed, but part of me was like, okay, they didn't go that way. Okay, but part of me was disappointed that they didn't, because I really wanted to see him hit himself in the head. In the pot,
I would like to see the pre-CGI footage for that scene, where it's just him pretending he has a doll in his face and smashing the pots against his face.
Yeah, well, he probably had something that they pixeled out and then put the CGI in.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, they would have been just him smashing the pots on his face and then them adding the doll to it.
Yeah. But then again, even back in the days of the Three Stooges, the beer glasses, the beer mugs that they would shatter over each other's heads were made out of cornflakes. And they actually looked good the way they were painted. So when Moe smashes a mug over Larry's head, that mug was made out of cornflakes. And whenever they would shatter a plate, they would make the plate out of sugar. You would melt sugar down so that it's a liquid syrupy form. And then you would put it into a little mold that looks like a plate and let it harden again. Then you would just paint it to look like a plate. So when they would smash each other over the head, they're smashing each other over the head with plates of sugar instead of real porcelain plates. So it isn't hard to make something look. So that clay pot was probably actually made out of something that would shatter very easily.
Yes. Well, it's like how they do the stage glass and stuff like that. It breaks very easily, but it still looks very much like glass.
Right. Yeah. And if it's clear, because remember, when you melt down sugar, it becomes clear.
Yes.
If you start to burn it, it turns brown. But if you melt it just right, it turns clear. So you can make something that looks like a piece of glass that's transparent.
I'm almost positive that's what they actually do. Is that it is sugar? It's sugar glass.
Yeah. Now you paint that with a flat brown, brick brown paint, and you got something that looks like a flower pot.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go to smash it up against your face, and it just shatters right in your hand.
Yeah.
All you gotta do is close your eyes to make sure none of those shards get in your eyes. And you got it made. Yes, but I like the fact that they didn't. That they were using those kind of props. They were making it look as realistic as possible, even though they had a CGI doll.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Now,
absolutely.
maybe the CG, the far away shots of him and her, there may have been an actual doll that they clipped to his nose. It's just the close-up shots of the doll's face when her mouth is moving. They needed CGI to do that.
Yes. I didn't pay that much attention to it because I was kind of like, all right, this is going to be CGI, and I mean, I liked it for what it was. It wasn't bad. Yeah. I did just find out, however, that the Evil Dead 2 is not a sequel or I guess it would be a reboot. But what happened was they could not obtain rights to the original.
Oh, okay.
And so they had to pretty much redo everything that happened in the first one and explain how Ash got to the cabin.
Yeah.
So now one of the things that I really liked, like I liked Evil Dead. It was a cheesy horror movie. It wasn't bad. It was kind of dark,
Yeah.
I mean, back when it came out anyway.
Yeah.
But one of my favorite things to do in that was I used to watch it with a friend of mine, and we would laugh because whoever was in control of the fog machine in Evil Dead 2, I feel like he was trying to win some kind of award because it was just everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it kind of switched when we got to the remake, the one that came out in 2013. 2013. It kind of switched to there was no more Fog Guy, but like he got promoted to the Blood Guy.
Yeah.
And by the end of the movie, it's just raining fucking blood. So, we used to make like a drinking game out of the fog in Evil Dead 2. Anytime there's way too much fog for the scene, drink. I promise you will be fucked up by the end of the movie.
Yeah, so I like the episode. It was a good setup. For the series. I just hope that they don't get. I just hope they don't go off the deep end with the comedy or with like the blood and gore. I don't want it just to be a series where it's a 50-minute Jason movie or something where things just hack and slash and that's it.
It seems like they're trying to drive a storyline. Like we know that they set up the antique bookstore. He was talking to the person on the phone, and that's where they
translated the book.
Yeah, that's where they were taking the book. They set up where it's not just affecting the people that read out of the book this time; it is affecting everybody in the area. I guess that is kind of true for the first one too. They kind of just, but I feel like it was contained to the cabin in the woods. Yeah. Whereas this one looks like it's affecting the entire city.
Yeah, when you saw that dark cloud, But I mean, in the first one, with the cabin in the woods, I mean, they're so far away from civilization that even if it was, a giant 10-mile wide area that was affected, your nearest neighbor might be 15 miles away, So it could have been that big of an area and still only affect people in the cabin.
Well, right now, it has been approved and already 10 episodes are already done. It'll be airing on Stars through the next 10 episodes. So we get at least 10 of these.
Yeah.
I just hope that it doesn't take the same kind of turn as like Nightmare on Elm Street show did.
Yeah.
What was it? Friday the 13th, the series, which was another really good horror movie show. Had nothing to do with Jason Voorhees.
Right, yeah, that was about that people had that vault where they were collecting all these evil items.
Yeah, it's very similar to like Warehouse 13 that's out there now, and the SCP creepypastas and whatnot.
Yeah.
But it was still really good. It was like I think it was going up against Tales of the Crypt, if I'm not mistaken. It was about the same time frame, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, and to go back a little further, you had like Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
But it was really good, but they all got canceled. I can understand why Nightmare on Elm Street got canceled. That show was horrible. I feel like they just kind of were just like, well, you know what? I kind of want to do this, and there's like the light guy, and everybody just started listening to the light guy.
I hope there's a decent storyline. Let there be some, some drama,
Well, see, even outside of just the Evil Dead story, I am interested to see what they do and how they elaborate on the Necronomicon.
Yeah.
I mean, they're using it. I mean, obviously, it's from H.P. Lovecraft.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's a Lovecraft item, and I feel like and I've said this before, but I feel like H.P. Lovecraft's stories kind of don't get the love that they should. And this particular item is in Evil Dead, which is doing well. I'm hoping it continues to do well.
Yeah.
But I want them to kind of elaborate a little bit more on the Necronomicon, and that in itself seems to be the way that they're heading. If they're taking that book to a lady or to a person to have it figured out, then I'm interested just for that.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that they do it where when you translate the book, you find this series of things that you have to do to close the vortex again. And maybe some articles that you have to have, some artifacts that you need, and make it more of, they're on a quest against time to get these items and to do what needed to be done to seal that vortex again. And not just have it where they're running around the world and they're being chased by this evil wherever they go. I mean, that'll get old really fast.
Mm-hmm.
Make us want to find out if they'll be able to do it in the next next episode. What will they come across next that will help them?
Yes, yeah, I wouldn't be against that. That seems a little bit to be kind of close to what they were doing in Constantine.
Yeah.
They had the map, and they were slowly going to each place to try to stop the oncoming darkness and whatnot. I'd be okay with that storyline as long as they kept it, loose and goofy, because that's Evil Dead.
Yeah, it's got to have that, that campiness to it,
Yeah. So.
But it's got to keep that flavor to it, but actually have, something that they're questing towards, and you want to tune in next week to find out how close they get to, completing that quest.
Yes. Okay, what I'm reading here is not only are we getting the 10 episodes, Starz has already approved a second season 3 days before it premiered.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah,
so they must have a lot of faith in it.
Or they had a lot of people come back over to Starz just to watch it.
Yeah.
But yeah, 3 days before it premiered, it was already given a second season. So we're gonna get 20 episodes in total.
Good.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, they approved it last November for 10 episodes. Just recently, on the 28th, they renewed it for the second season before the first one even aired.
Good. Let's see how everything unfolds, and we'll see how popular it becomes and how good the story is.
And this is the third it says collaboration between Bruce Campbell and Lucy Lawless.
Lucy Lawless?
Yes. This is the third time that they've collaborated. They have been in Xena the Warrior Princess together.
Well, he was also in Hercules, too.
Yes. And he's also been in Burn Notice with her.
I wasn't really into Burn Notice, so I didn't watch a whole lot of episodes. So I wouldn't have seen her in that show. But is Lucy Lawless going to be in the show, or is she like one of the producers or something?
She is going to be playing Ruby Nobai.
Oh, okay. So she'll actually be on screen.
Yes, as a character. Yeah. I did not see the episodes where he was in Xena. Was he playing Ash?
Well, no. Well, in Hercules, he first showed up in Hercules as Autolycus or King of Thieves.
Okay.
And he was just as campy as he is,
Oh, it's Bruce Campbell.
Yeah, he was always the comic relief. Well, he reprised that role when Xena, because Xena was one of the bad guys in Hercules who turned good. And I guess the people liked her enough. The feedback on her character was good enough where they gave her own series. And he reprised the role of Autolycus in that series.
Okay.
Yeah. And there were crossover times when Xena and Hercules would get together and team up and do stuff, and some of the characters from Hercules would show up on Xena.
Okay. Now, I've actually met Bruce Campbell.
Oh, you did?
Oh yeah, years ago.
He was not that way in real life.
It was years ago, but I had wanted to because a friend of mine, Eric, had told me about when he first met him. Yeah. And basically, he said that he had gotten like all giddy and he was like in line and stuff like that. And when he got up there to meet him, he just couldn't bring himself to say anything to him. And he said that Bruce looked at him and was just like, "You're gonna regret this if you don't start talking." But yeah, he's actually one of the people that I've gotten signed picture of alongside of Robert Englund and them. Come to find out, he actually, at least I don't know if this is actually true. However, some of the digging that I did do about this when it happened seems to point that it is. He actually owns a town, and he's the only resident.
He's actually a town?
Yeah, he owns like a ghost town in the middle of a desert. And is the sheriff and the mayor and
yeah,
all of that kind of stuff. But he's generally a nice guy. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. This show, Ash vs. the Evil Dead, was originally supposed to be the fourth movie in the series. Due to the amount of material that they had for the movie, they decided to go the TV series instead because they had so much.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm thinking that, I mean, only time will tell, but I really hope that going the TV route is better because I really don't want to have missed out on what could have been an awesome Evil Dead movie.
Right. Yeah. You always know that a TV show allows you to get more in-depth into the characters.
Well, yeah, that's because they're not being blocked into a 2-hour block, you know.
Right. So I mean, if you have a lot of story to tell, and you need some in-depth details to make the story worth telling, it's better to go TV wise. Like even if it's like a real adventure. If you need to get into the mind of the characters in order to understand why the adventure is so important to them, then you need to take the time to develop the character themselves, to get the people who are watching to care about the character. and to be as emotionally invested in the adventure as the character himself. You can't do that in a 2-hour movie. In a 2-hour movie, it's like, here's the character, here's what he's doing, maybe a little quick scene about who he is, and then it's off to the races to see if he can finish his quest,